Okay, in this next section, this is section 9.1 in your textbook, we are going to talk about solving quadratic equations by finding square roots. Okay, so as a reminder, we've kind of talked about how to solve quadratic equations so far, but they're going to look a little different today. Right? Before we had something like it's going to be ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Right, and we ended up like factoring it, right? So we get these two factors, okay, and then we'd set each factor equal to 0 and solve. So let's just say this is like x minus 1 and x plus 2, okay, and we'd set each factor equal to 0. And then we would solve to get, for example, x equals 1 and x equals negative 2. Okay, well, today they're going to look a little bit different, all right? Today it's basically just going to be, there's going to be no b term, okay, and then we're going to solve equations that maybe start looking like this. Ax squared plus c equals 0. Okay, and so that's kind of more of what we're going to focus on today when there's actually no b term, and we can use a different method by finding square roots. Okay, so let's look at a couple simple prerequisite skills problems here before we get going. Okay, so on the first one, it asks us to find 6 squared. Remember, this means 6 times 6, which is just 36. Okay, so very, very simple to start here. Okay, the next one here is negative 14 squared, right? So remember, this means negative 14 times negative 14. Okay, and if you don't remember what 14 times 14 is, let's just go on the side over here. 14 times 14, 4 times 4 is 16 plus 1. I have 1 times 4 is 4 plus 5. Here we go. Okay, I'll add the 0 down here. 4 times 1 is 4. And then 1 times 1 is going to give me 1. So I get, it looks like 196. Remember, a negative times negative is positive, so positive 196 would be our final answer. Okay, continuing on, this next part, number 3, put a star next to number 3 in your notes. Okay, this one is a common error for a lot of students. Okay, this negative sign is actually not part of our base here. Right, so the negative sign is going to be here, and then the 9 is the only thing that's being raised to the second power. So this is this. Okay, and we know that this is now basically going to be 9 times 9 is 81, and we have a negative 1 being multiplied by that. So this is now our final answer. Okay, let's just take a look at a couple more here before we get going with our lesson. Okay, so this next example, we have 0 squared. This one should be pretty easy. It's just 0 times 0. Okay, and that's just going to give us a 0. All right, that one's pretty easy. And now let's look at this very last one. Okay, on this very last one, we have negative 4x squared, and we're going to plug in 3 for x. So this is now going to be negative 4. We'll put a parentheses, and we'll plug in 3, and then we'll square that. Okay, so this is now basically going to be negative 4 times 3 times 3, which is the same thing as negative 4 times 9, which is going to give us negative 36. Okay, so again, these prerequisite skills will obviously be helpful for what we're going to learn here today.